The desert of the alien planet was quiet. The air was thin and the sand glowed faintly in the pale light of two moons. A lone human walked carefully across the ground, his boots leaving sharp marks behind. His name was Daniel, an explorer sent to map strange worlds, but now he was lost, separated from his ship after a sudden storm. Daniel tried to contact his crew, but his communicator only hissed with broken static. He sighed and kept walking, hoping to find a signal or some kind of shelter. The silence around him was heavy, almost unnatural. He felt the desert was watching him, though he could see no life at all. As he climbed over a ridge of rocks, he heard something strange, a soft sound almost like a laugh carried on the wind. Daniel froze, his heart pounding. He turned quickly, scanning the empty dunes, but no one was there. The laugh came again, playful and light, yet somehow sharp. It felt as if someone was making fun of him. He shook his head, telling himself it was only the wind. Still, his hands tightened on the straps of his survival pack. He moved faster now, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Then, without warning, something impossible happened. Daniel felt a rush of cold air. He looked down and realized his clothes were gone. Not torn, not burned, but completely vanished. In the blink of an eye, he stood exposed under the moons. Heat rose to his face as panic and confusion gripped him. What is this?" he shouted into the night. His voice echoed weakly over the dunes. For a moment there was silence. Then the laughter returned, louder, closer. It was no longer just a sound carried by the wind. It was a clear voice, light and playful, but not human. Daniel spun around again, his eyes wide. "Who's there? Show yourself," he demanded. The sand in front of him shifted, rising like smoke. From the glowing dust, a figure slowly appeared. A girl, tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like liquid silver. Her eyes were large and bright, glowing with strange blue fire. Her hair floated as if underwater, moving without wind. She smiled, a mischievous grin that made Daniel's heart race. In her hand, she twirled his missing clothes like ribbons of light. "Looking for these?" she asked, in a voice that was both gentle and mocking. Daniel staggered back, shocked not only by her sudden appearance, but by the power she clearly held. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" he asked. His voice was firm, but inside he was afraid. The alien girl tilted her head playfully. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "I am alone here," she said softly. "And you are interesting." She let the clothes vanish again into thin air, as if they never existed. "You humans, you are so easy to amuse," she added with a laugh. Daniel clenched his fists, trying to stay calm. He felt exposed, powerless, yet he refused to show fear. "This is not a game," he said. "I need my equipment back. I need to survive." Girl circled around him slowly. Her steps left no mark on the sand. Her presence felt unreal, like a dream made solid. She studied him the way a child might study a strange toy. "You are far from home," she whispered, "and you have no control." "Here," her words stung, but Daniel lifted his chin. "I am not your toy," he said. "If you mean harm, then finish it, but I will not beg." The alien girl paused, her playful smile fading for a brief second. She seemed surprised at his courage, but then her laughter returned, louder and brighter than before. "You are bold," she said. "I like that." With a wave of her hand, glowing sparks danced around him. His clothes reappeared suddenly, settling back onto his body as if they had never left. Relief washed over Daniel, but he stayed alert. He now knew she could take everything away in an instant. The girl floated back a few steps, her eyes glowing, even brighter. "You are not the first human I met," she said, her voice turning strange. Her playful tone slipped into something deeper, almost sad. "But maybe you will be the last?" Daniel's heart pounded. What did she mean by that? Was she warning him, or was it a threat? The desert wind rose suddenly, carrying her words into the night. Before he could ask, she vanished in a swirl of silver light, leaving him alone once more, his mind filled with fear and questions. The desert was silent again, but Daniel knew the silence was not empty anymore. Something watched him, something powerful, playful, and dangerous, and he had only just begun to understand what he had walked into. Daniel stood frozen in the cold desert night, his eyes fixed on the place. Where the silver girl had vanished, his body trembled, not only from the chill but from the heavy feeling that he had just stepped into something far beyond his understanding. The moons lit the dunes in pale light, but he felt no comfort from them. He was not alone on this world anymore. Suddenly, the air rippled like heat waves and she appeared again, this time closer, her shimmering form glowing brighter than before. Daniel flinched but held his ground. The alien girl tilted her head with a playful smile, as if she had been watching his every heartbeat. "You are still standing," she said, her voice smooth, like a song. "Most humans would run." Daniel swallowed hard. "You enjoy this," he said, his tone firm though his chest was tight. "You enjoy making me afraid." The girl laughed softly, a sound that echoed across the sand like wind. Chimes, she circled him again, her bare feet never sinking into the ground, her silver hair floating behind her. "Afraid?" she teased. "No, you are not afraid, you are angry, I can feel it." He clenched his jaw, realizing she could sense more than he wished to show. "Give me back my gear," he demanded. "Stop playing games." The alien only grinned wider. With a wave of her hand, his backpack floated up into the air, spinning gently in front of him. She tapped the pack with one glowing finger, and suddenly it burst into hundreds of shining butterflies of light. They scattered into the sky, leaving Daniel staring in shock. "What have you done?" he shouted. The girl laughed again. "Nothing is gone," she said, and with another flick of her hand, the butterflies reformed in a swirl and reshaped into his pack. Dropping at his feet with a dull thud, she leaned closer, her glowing eyes locking on his. "See? I do not destroy, I only play." Daniel's breath slowed as he bent down to grab his pack. He checked quickly. Everything was still inside, untouched. The relief was sharp, but so was the fear. This being was not only powerful, she was unpredictable. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, standing tall again. "What do you want from me?" The alien girl's smile softened, though her mischief did not fade. "Want?" she repeated. "I want amusement, I want company, I want to see how much a human can take before he breaks." She circled him again, her voice low but playful. "Your people are curious, so fragile, yet you walk into the stars as if you own them." Daniel held his ground, his eyes following her every move. "And what about you?" he asked. "Who are you really?" The girl stopped suddenly, her expression unreadable. For a moment the playful mask slipped. "I was born here," she said softly. "Long ago, when this world was alive, when my people filled the skies with cities of light." Her eyes flickered with something deeper, something heavy, but the mask returned quickly with another grin. "But that was boring. This is more fun." She lifted her hand again, and the sand around Daniel rose into tall shapes, shimmering, statues of strange creatures he did not know. They snarled silently, their glowing eyes fixed on him. Daniel instinctively reached for the knife on his belt. The girl clapped her hands together, and the statues crumbled back into harmless sand. She laughed at his reaction. "So serious," she said. "Always ready to fight, but never ready to laugh." Daniel's patience was thinning. He stepped forward, closing the space between them. "If you think I am here only for your entertainment, you are wrong," he said, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. "I came to survive, and I will, with or without your games." The girl's smile widened again, her silver eyes flashing. "Bold words," she whispered. "I like bold words." With a sudden motion, she raised her hand, and the ground beneath Daniel cracked open, a deep pit yawning wide at his feet. He stumbled back just in time, the pit vanishing as quickly as it appeared. The girl giggled like a child playing hide. "And seek? Do you trust the ground you stand on?" she asked, her voice playful but edged with danger. "Do you trust yourself?" Daniel breathed heavily, realizing she was testing him, not just mocking him. Every trick, every illusion seemed designed to push him, to measure his courage. Still, he stood tall, staring into her glowing eyes. "You may have power," he said slowly, "but you do not control me." For the first time, the alien girl paused, her laughter fading. She studied him quietly, her head tilted as though she could see inside his thoughts. Her expression softened, almost curious. Then, with a faint smile, she whispered, "You are different." She stepped closer, so close he could feel the strange warmth radiating from her glowing skin. "You might last longer than the others." Daniel froze, his stomach tightening. "The others?" he asked carefully, but the girl only smiled, her silver hair drifting like mist. "Not tonight," she said. "You will learn in time." Before he could speak again, she snapped her fingers, and his surroundings shifted. The desert dunes dissolved into glowing forests of crystal trees, the air filled with soft humming light. Daniel gasped, realizing she had moved him, or at least made him believe so. He reached out and touched a glowing branch. It felt solid, real, alive. This is impossible," he whispered. The alien girl only laughed, spinning in the glowing forest like a dancer, her voice echoing. "Nothing is impossible when you are mine." Daniel's chest tightened, the meaning of her words wrapping around him like chains. He realized she was not finished with him. Not tonight, not ever, unless he found a way to change the game. The glowing forest stretched endlessly around Daniel, its crystal branches humming with a strange energy. The air shimmered like a dream, filled with light that seemed alive. Daniel walked slowly, his boots crunching against the glowing soil, though he no longer knew if it was real ground or just another illusion. He touched a tree, and the vibration pulsed through his skin like a quiet heartbeat. The alien girl moved ahead of him, dancing between the crystal trunks with ease, her silver hair floating like smoke. Every step she took seemed to light the ground beneath her feet. She turned her head, her playful eyes glowing. "Do you like my world?" she asked, her voice sweet but carrying something deeper. "It used to be even brighter when it was full of my people." Daniel frowned. "What happened to them?" he asked, his voice steady though his heart felt heavy. The girl stopped, her smile fading for the first time. She looked at the trees around her as if they carried memories. "They are gone," she whispered. "Vanished, like dust in the wind." Her hand touched one of the crystals gently, and it glowed brighter at her touch. "This is all that remains." Daniel stepped closer, sensing the weight behind her words. "You mean you are the last?" he asked. The girl's eyes flickered with sadness, though her lips curved in a faint smile. "Yes," she said softly. "The last voice, the last light, the last who remembers." She turned back to him suddenly, her smile sharpening again, into playful mischief. "But loneliness is boring, so I play." Her words struck Daniel behind her tricks, behind her laughter. There was a wound too deep to hide. He understood now that she was more than just a tormentor. She was a prisoner of her own emptiness. "You don't have to be alone," he said. But she laughed at him, a sharp laugh that rang through the glowing forest. "Humans always say that," she replied, "but humans always leave." Daniel clenched his fists, but he did not look away. "Maybe I'm not like the others," he said. The girl tilted her head, her glowing eyes scanning him as if measuring his soul. "We shall see," she whispered. She led him deeper into the glowing woods. The trees grew taller, their hum louder, until the air itself seemed to vibrate with energy. Daniel's skin tingled as if the forest were alive and watching. They reached a clearing where the ground split open, revealing ruins hidden beneath. Strange towers of dark stone jutted from the earth, carved with glowing symbols. Daniel's breath caught. He recognized the shape. "A city," he whispered. The alien girl floated down the slope, her bare feet gliding over broken stone. "Yes," she said, "my city, the heart of my people. Once it touched the stars. Now it sleeps under sand and silence." Daniel followed carefully, staring at the alien structures. The ruins were massive, far older than anything he had seen, yet still pulsing with faint light, like machines that refused to die. He reached out to one of the walls, his fingers brushing the carvings. Symbols glowed faintly under his touch. His eyes widened. "This is technology," he said. "Not just stone, it's alive." The girl smiled faintly. "It remembers," she said. "Even when we are gone, the city remembers." Daniel's curiosity burned inside him. He had seen alien ruins before, but never like this, never so alive. His mind raced with questions, but the girl stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. "Do not touch too much," she warned. "The city is not gentle with strangers." Her words carried a sharp edge. Daniel pulled his hand back slowly. "What do you mean?" he asked. The girl's smile returned, playful again. "It tests you," she said, "like I do. If you are strong, it will open. If you are weak, it will eat you." Daniel felt a chill run through his spine. The ruins seemed to hum louder. As if they had heard her words, he stepped back, scanning the towering structures. "What is inside?" he asked. The girl's eyes glowed brighter. "Secrets," she whispered. "Power, pain, and answers you may not want." For a moment, silence hung between them. The city loomed like a sleeping giant. Daniel's instincts screamed danger. Yet, his curiosity was stronger. "Show me," he said finally. The girl studied him carefully, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled again. "Brave human," she said. "You are eager to see what destroyed my people." With a graceful motion, she raised her hand. The ground beneath them shifted, ancient doors of stone and light grinding open, a deep passage yawning in the earth, glowing faintly with pulsing veins of energy. Daniel's heart raced as he looked down into the passage. It felt like staring into the throat of some great beast. But he took a step forward, his voice firm. "I came this far, I won't turn back now." The alien girl laughed softly. "Good," she said. "Because once you go inside, you cannot turn back. The city will remember you. It will test you. It will mark you." Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. "And it never forgets." Daniel tightened the straps of his pack, his breath steadying. He glanced at the glowing girl. "Then let's see your secret," he said. She smiled, her silver eyes glowing like stars. "Very well," she replied. "Let us see if you are strong enough to survive my world." Together they stepped into the darkness of the ancient ruins, the light of the forest fading behind them, the hum of the living stone growing louder with each step. Daniel's heart pounded with both fear and determination. He knew he had just crossed into something far greater than himself, something that would either break him or make him more than human. The tunnels of the alien city were dark and alive. Glowing veins of energy pulsed through the walls like the heartbeat of some hidden beast. Daniel walked carefully, his hand brushing against the strange stone. Every step echoed with a deep hum. The air smelled faintly metallic, heavy with the weight of time. The alien girl moved ahead of him without fear, her silver form lighting the way. She turned suddenly, her eyes glowing like burning stars. "This city remembers strength," she said, her voice both playful and sharp. "And it despises weakness. Now you must play my game." Daniel frowned, uneasy. "Game?" he asked, though he already suspected she did not mean something simple. The girl smiled, tilting her head. "Yes," she said softly. "A puzzle, a test. If you win, the city will show you its secrets. If you fail, it will take you, just as it took the others." Her words sent a chill down his spine. "Others?" Daniel asked, his throat dry. The girl laughed lightly, though her eyes carried shadows. "Yes, others came before you. Brave, foolish, curious, none of them left." The corridor widened into a massive chamber. The ceiling rose high above, glowing, with faint symbols that shifted slowly as if alive. At the center stood a platform of black stone, its surface carved with countless patterns. Daniel approached carefully, every instinct warning him this was not a simple puzzle. It was a machine, old and dangerous. The alien girl stood at the edge of the platform, her silver hair drifting as if moved by unseen wind. "Step forward," she said. "The game begins when you place your hand on the stone. The city will ask you questions not with words but with trials. Survive, and you earn its respect." Daniel's jaw tightened. "And if I lose?" he asked. The girl's playful smile sharpened. "Then you will amuse me for a short time, before you vanish like the others." Daniel took a deep breath, his pulse pounding. This was no longer about choice. The city was alive, and it demanded something from him. He stepped onto the platform. The stone was warm under his boots. He placed his hand on the carved surface. Immediately the chamber roared to life. Symbols on the ceiling flared, the walls vibrated, and the air thickened. Daniel staggered as light burst around him. The ground shifted, and suddenly he was standing in a desert again. Not the glowing crystal forest, but a wasteland of burning sand and fire. The sky cracked with thunder. Daniel's breath came fast. He looked around wildly. "An illusion?" he whispered. But the heat against his skin felt real. The air burned in his lungs. From the horizon, dark shapes rose, creatures of sand and fire, their eyes burning with malice. They roared and charged toward him. He drew his knife, gripping it tight, his mind racing. The girl's voice echoed faintly through the storm. "Fight or fall, human, the city is watching." Daniel's heart pounded as the first beast lunged at him, its body a swirling storm of claws and fire. He rolled aside, stabbing into its form. The blade met resistance, and the creature howled before collapsing into smoke. But more rushed forward, faster, louder. Daniel fought with every ounce of strength, dodging, striking, his body growing weaker with each clash. The heat scalded his skin, his lungs burned, yet he refused to fall. "I will not be your toy," he shouted into the storm. "I will not break." The beasts circled him, their fire blazing, but he stood tall, gripping his knife, refusing to surrender. Then the desert flickered. The storm vanished, and he was back in the chamber, his knees shaking, sweat running down his face. The platform glowed beneath his feet. The alien girl clapped her hands gently, smiling. "Bold, very bold," she said. "But the game is not finished." The platform shifted again, symbols rising from the stone like glowing blades. They twisted into walls, trapping Daniel in a maze of light. The girl's voice echoed from everywhere. "Find your way out, before the maze consumes you." The walls began to close slowly, humming with deadly energy. Daniel forced himself forward, every turn a risk, his hands brushing against the glowing walls that hummed dangerously close to his skin. He ran faster, the walls closing in, the hum growing louder. His heart thundered. He felt the heat against his back as the path behind him sealed. At last he burst through into the center, collapsing to his knees. The walls dissolved into smoke, and silence returned. The alien girl appeared before him, her smile unreadable. "You live," she said softly. "You did not fall." "Impressive." Daniel panted, his body trembling. He looked up at her with fierce eyes. "You said this was a game," he gasped. "But this is no game. This is a trial. This is death." The girl's smile faded for a heartbeat, then returned. "And yet you live," she whispered, stepping closer, her silver glow surrounding him. "You are stronger than the others, perhaps too strong." For the first time, Daniel saw something behind her playful mask, not just loneliness, but fear. She looked at him not only with amusement, but with uncertainty, as if she wondered whether he might change the balance she had kept for so long. The chamber dimmed, the platform's light fading. Daniel rose slowly, standing face to face with her. "If you want me to survive, stop treating me like a toy," he said firmly. "If you want me to play, then tell me the truth." The alien girl's smile flickered, her eyes glowing with storm and sorrow. "The truth?" she whispered. "The truth is that my games keep me alive. Without them, I would fade. Without them, I would be nothing." She turned away, her voice trembling for the first time. "And I cannot bear to be nothing." Daniel's chest tightened, the weight of her words pressing against him. She was not only testing him, she was fighting her own emptiness, her laughter, her games, her cruelty. All of it was a mask to cover the fear of vanishing into silence. He stood quietly, his breath steadying, but before he could speak, the girl turned sharply, her playful grin snapping back into place. "Enough," she said, her voice sharp again. "You passed, but the city has more secrets, and you are not ready for them yet." Her silver form shimmered, the chamber dissolving around them. In the blink of an eye, they stood once more in the glowing forest, the ruins vanishing behind them. The girl looked at him with a mischievous smile, but her eyes betrayed something deeper. "You amuse me, Daniel," she said softly. "And for now, that is enough." Daniel stared at her, his heart heavy with questions. He knew the games were not over. He knew the danger was only beginning, and he wondered how long he could walk this line between survival and becoming part of her cruel amusement. The glowing forest was silent, the hum of the crystal trees low and steady. Daniel stood breathing hard, his body still shaking from the trial within the city. The alien girl floated a few steps away, her silver glow soft against the darkness. She smiled playfully, but the smile did not reach her eyes. Daniel studied her carefully, the way her hair drifted without wind, the way her hands trembled just slightly before she hid them behind her back. He realized then that her laughter was not only amusement, it was a shield, a fragile mask to cover something deeper. "Why do you do this?" he asked quietly. "Why play these games with me?" The girl tilted her head, her grin sharp again. "Because I am bored," she said, her tone mocking. "Because humans are amusing toys. You fight, you fear, and you make me laugh." She twirled around him slowly, her silver eyes glowing brighter. "And you, Daniel, you are the boldest toy I have ever seen." Daniel's jaw tightened, but instead of anger, he felt something heavier, pity. "This isn't about laughter," he said firmly. "You're hiding something, aren't you?" The girl froze, her glow flickering for a brief second. She turned her face away, her voice dropping lower. "You should not ask questions you are not ready to hear," she whispered. Daniel stepped closer, his voice calm but strong. "You said, your people are gone. You said you are the last. Tell me the truth. Why are you really alone?" The alien girl's silver eyes dimmed. She did not smile this time, she did not laugh, she only stared at the glowing ground, as if it carried the memories she could not bury. "My people were proud," she said slowly. "We built cities of light. We touched the stars. We thought nothing could end us." Her voice trembled. "But we were wrong." Daniel listened in silence, his chest heavy with the weight of her words. "They built the city to test us," she continued, her hands curling into fists. "They wanted to grow stronger, to control the universe itself. But the city grew cruel. It demanded more. It consumed. Those who failed, and one by one my people vanished until only I remained." She looked up then, her silver eyes burning with sorrow. "Do you understand, human? I am not only alone, I am cursed. The city will not let me die. It keeps me alive because I am its last voice, its last memory. I laugh, I play, because if I do not, I will drown in silence." Daniel's breath caught. The truth cut deeper than any of her games. She was not only powerful, she was trapped, chained to a world that had stolen everything from her. His anger softened into compassion. "You don't have to be its prisoner," he said gently. "You don't have to hide behind cruelty." But the girl shook her head, her laughter returning, though it cracked like broken glass. "Do not pretend to know me, human," she snapped. "You think kindness will save you? Kindness killed the others. They begged me to help them, and they failed. The city took them, and I let it happen." Daniel's heart sank. "You mean, you've watched others die?" She closed her eyes, her silver glow dimming. "Yes," she whispered. "They came with hope, with courage, and they could not survive. I told myself it was not my fault. I told myself they were weak. But the truth," her voice broke. "The truth is I wanted them to fail because if they stayed, if they survived, I would no longer be alone, and I was afraid of that too." Daniel stood frozen, the weight of her confession pressing against him. He had seen many dangers in the galaxy, but never something like this. A girl with the power of gods, yet chained by loneliness so sharp it turned to cruelty. Slowly, he stepped closer, his voice low and steady. "You are not a monster," he said. "You are only afraid. Afraid of being forgotten. Afraid of being left behind. But I am here now." The alien girl opened her eyes, her silver tears shimmering as they fell onto the glowing ground. "Do you still want to escape?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. "Or will you stay with me even knowing what I am?" Daniel's chest tightened. He felt the weight of her pain, the truth behind her games, and for the first time, he saw not a trickster, not a tormentor, but a broken soul trapped between power and emptiness. For a long moment, silence filled the forest. Only the hum of the crystals surrounded them. Daniel reached out slowly, his hand stopping just short of hers. "I don't know what will happen," he said, "but I won't abandon you. Not now." The alien girl stared at him, her lips trembling, her eyes wide with something more than mischief, something almost human. Then she smiled faintly, a smile not of cruelty but of fragile hope. "We shall see," she whispered. But before the moment could last, the ground shook violently, the trees flashing with red light. The hum of the forest turned into a low roar. The girl's eyes widened with fear. "No," she whispered. "Not now." Daniel braced himself, the ground splitting as the ruins below stirred, energy surged upward, and the forest itself seemed to shudder. The girl turned to him, her playful mask gone, her voice sharp with warning. "Something has awakened, something even I cannot control." Daniel's heart raced, his hand still close to hers. He knew the games were over, and a far greater danger was rising from the depths of the forgotten city. The ground shook harder, cracks racing across the glowing soil as energy surged from deep below. Daniel stumbled but kept his balance. The crystal trees around them flashed red like warning signals, their steady hum now a deafening roar. The alien girl stood frozen, her silver eyes wide with fear. Daniel had never seen her afraid. Not when she teased him, not when she mocked him, not even when she forced him through deadly trials. Now her playful mask was gone, her hands trembling at her sides. "What's happening?" Daniel shouted, raising his voice above the thunder of the ground. The girl turned sharply, her voice trembling. "The city, it is waking," she whispered. "The old guardians, the machines of war my people left behind, they are stirring." She closed her eyes briefly, her silver glow flickering. "I tried to keep it asleep. I tried to bury it in my games, but now it rises and it will not stop." Daniel's pulse quickened. "Then we have to leave," he said firmly. "Take me to my ship. We can escape before it's too late." But the girl shook her head violently, her silver hair flowing like fire. "No," she said sharply. "You don't understand. If the warship awakens fully, it will not stop with me. It will destroy everything, your people, your worlds. It will burn the stars the way it burned mine." The words sank into Daniel's chest like stone, his throat dry. "Then what do we do?" he asked. The girl looked at him with eyes full of sorrow. "We fight," she said softly. "Or we fall." A deep rumble echoed from below, and a crack split open the forest floor, revealing glowing machinery beneath. Massive gears turned, and streams of fire burst into the sky. Daniel shielded his face from the heat, his heart pounding. "You can control it, can't you?" he demanded. "You have power, I've seen it. You can stop this." The alien girl shook her head, her expression pained. "Not control," she whispered. "Only hold it back, only for a time. But the more I fight it, the more it consumes me. I am its prisoner as much as its keeper." Daniel stepped closer, his voice hard but steady. "Then let me fight with you. Together maybe we can stop it." Her silver eyes widened, shock flickering across her face. "Together?" she repeated softly, as if the word itself was foreign to her. "Yes," Daniel said firmly. "I didn't come this far to watch you drown alone. If you think I'll run now, you're wrong." For a long moment she stared at him, her glow flickering, like a dying flame. Then slowly she smiled, but this time it was not playful, it was fragile, hopeful. "Perhaps," she whispered, "perhaps you are different." The ground split wider, and from the depths below a massive structure began to rise, black metal covered in glowing veins of red. Towers of weapons unfolded, the earth trembling under its weight. Daniel's eyes widened. The thing was not just a machine, it was a warship, buried for ages, now clawing its way back into the light. The girl raised her hands, her silver glow blazing brighter. Streams of light shot from her body into the ground. The forest trembled. The rising warship slowed, groaning under her power, but Daniel could see her strain, her face tightening, her body trembling with the effort. "Daniel?" she gasped, her voice breaking. "I cannot hold it. It is too strong." Daniel ran to her side, gripping her arm. "You're not alone," he said fiercely. "Tell me what to do." She shook her head weakly. "You cannot fight it. It is beyond you." But Daniel's eyes burned with determination. "Then use me," he said. "Take my strength. Take whatever you need. Just don't give up." The girl's silver eyes widened, her glow flickering wildly. "You would offer yourself, even knowing it may break you?" she whispered. Daniel met her gaze without fear. "Better to break fighting beside you than to watch the stars burn." Her lips trembled. Then she pressed her hand to his chest, her glow pouring into him. Daniel gasped as heat surged through his veins, his body trembling with the force, his mind flooded with visions of her people, their rise and fall, their screams as the city consumed them. He felt her loneliness, her endless centuries of silence, her laughter hiding pain, her games hiding sorrow. Together, their energy spread into the earth. The warship below shuddered, its glowing red veins dimming as silver light wrapped around it. The ground trembled violently. Daniel's body ached as if it were tearing apart, but he held on, gripping her hand tightly. "We can do this," he whispered through clenched teeth. The alien girl cried out, her glow blazing brighter than ever. The forest bathed in silver light. The warship roared as its towers cracked, pieces of its armor breaking under the weight of their combined force. But still it fought. Still it resisted. Daniel's knees buckled, pain flooding through him, but he refused to let go. He poured everything into her. His strength, his will, his stubborn human defiance. The girl's eyes widened as the silver light surged higher, mixing with the faint fire of his spirit. At last, with a thunderous crack, the warship collapsed back into the earth. Its glowing veins flickered and went dark. The ground sealed itself, the tremors fading into silence. Daniel collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath, his body weak and trembling. The girl knelt beside him, her silver glow faint, her eyes shimmering with tears. "You fool," she whispered softly. "You gave me everything, even though it could have killed you." Daniel forced a tired smile. "That's what friends do," he said, his voice weak but steady. The alien girl stared at him, her lips trembling. No laughter, no mischief, only raw emotion. "No one has ever said that to me before," she whispered, a single silver tear rolling down her cheek. She reached out gently, her hand brushing against his face. "Perhaps I was wrong about you, Daniel. Perhaps humans are not only toys." Daniel closed his eyes, exhaustion pulling him down. But before he drifted into darkness, he heard her whisper again, soft as the hum of the forest. "Do you still want to escape, or will you stay with me?" The forest was quiet again, but the silence was heavy. Daniel lay on the glowing ground, his chest rising and falling with slow breaths. The silver girl knelt beside him, her glow dim but steady. Her hands hovered over his face as if afraid to touch, afraid he might vanish like the others she had lost. Her heart trembled with a feeling she had not known in centuries. This human had not begged, had not broken. He had chosen to fight beside her, even when it nearly cost him everything. For the first time, she wondered if she was no longer alone. Daniel stirred, his eyes opening slowly. He winced but managed to push himself up. "Still here?" he whispered with a faint smile, his voice weak but alive. The alien girl let out a sound between a laugh and a sob. "Still here," she repeated. Softly, for a moment there was peace. The forest glowed gently around them. The hum soft again, but deep below the earth a low rumble stirred. Daniel's head snapped toward the sound. "It's not over, is it?" he asked. The girl shook her head slowly, her eyes filled with sorrow. "No," she whispered. "The warship sleeps, But not forever. It will rise again, stronger. Unless we end it now. Daniel clenched his fists, exhaustion weighing on him, but his spirit unbroken. Then let's end it, he said. The girl looked at him in shock, her silver eyes wide. You would face it again even after what it did to you? She asked. Daniel nodded firmly. Yes, because if we don't, it won't just destroy you. It will destroy everything, my people, my world, maybe more. I can't let that happen. The girl's lips trembled. She wanted to stop him. She wanted to laugh it away like another game. But the truth burned inside her. He was not like the others. He was willing to give, not only take. If we face it, she whispered, it may kill us both. Daniel met her gaze, his voice steady. Then we die fighting, not running. The ground split again, fire and light pouring from the cracks. The warship roared from below, its massive frame forcing its way upward once more, this time faster, stronger. The air burned with heat. The crystal trees shattered under the force. Daniel shielded his eyes. The girl stood tall, her glow blazing brighter. She turned to him, her silver hair flowing like fire. Then we finish this together, she said. Daniel nodded, standing. At her side, despite the weakness in his body, the warship rose fully now, its black towers stabbing into the sky, its weapons glowing red, its engines shaking the ground with power. It was not just a machine, it was a beast of war, ancient and merciless, built to erase worlds. Daniel's heart pounded, but he did not step back. The alien girl raised her hands, silver light surging. Around her she screamed as her power struck the warship, beams of light wrapping its frame, slowing its rise, but the ship fought back, its cannons blasting streams of fire. Daniel lunged forward, pulling her away as a beam scorched the ground. Where she had stood, focus. He shouted, don't fight it alone, use me again. The girl looked at him with fear. No, it nearly killed you, she cried, but Daniel grabbed her hands firmly, his voice fierce. We don't have a choice. Their hands locked, and once again their powers merged, silver light mixed with the fire of human will. A storm of energy pouring from them into the warship. The ground shook, the sky split with blinding light. The warship roared, its weapons shattering under the force. Daniel felt his body tearing apart, but he held on, his teeth clenched, his mind focused only on her, only on the fight. We end it now, he shouted. The girl screamed, her glow brighter than ever, silver tears streaming down her face. The warship cracked, massive fractures racing across its black frame, fire bursting from its core. With a final thunderous roar, it collapsed in on itself. Folding into nothingness, consumed by the silver light, the ground sealed once more, silence falling like a blanket. Daniel collapsed forward, his strength gone. The girl caught him, cradling him in her arms, her body trembling, her glow faint. You did it, she whispered, her voice breaking. You broke the curse. You freed my world. Daniel's eyes fluttered, his breath weak. Not me, he whispered. Us. The girl stared at him, her tears falling silently, her heart torn between joy and sorrow. She knew the fight had cost him everything. She pressed her, forehead against his, her voice shaking. Do not leave me too, please. Daniel smiled faintly, his hand brushing her cheek. You're not alone anymore, he whispered. Then his eyes closed, his body limp. The girl gasped, her silver glow flaring wildly. No, she cried, her voice echoing through the empty forest. Do not take him from me. She poured her power into him, wrapping him in light, her body trembling as if it would tear apart. For a long moment there was nothing but blinding silver. When the light faded, Daniel stirred weakly, opening his eyes, his breath shallow but alive. The girl let out a broken laugh, hugging him tightly. Foolish human, she whispered through her tears. You risked everything, and still you smile. Daniel smiled faintly. Now you look like the one who cares too much, he whispered. The girl laughed softly, brushing her glowing hair from her face. Perhaps I do, she said. Slowly she helped him stand, her glow gentle now, calm. She looked at him with eyes that no longer held only mischief, but trust The city is gone. The warship destroyed. I am free, she whispered. But now the choice is yours. Will you leave this place? Return to your world? Or will you stay with me? Daniel looked at her. The alien girl who had stolen his clothes, played with his fear, forced him into trials, and finally opened her heart. He thought of his people, of his duty, of the stars waiting for him. But he also thought of her loneliness, her silver tears, her laughter that had hidden so much pain. He reached out, taking her hand, his voice steady. I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I will not abandon you. Her silver eyes filled with light, a smile blooming across her face, this time soft, this time real. She squeezed his hand gently, whispering, then perhaps this is not the end, but the beginning. The forest hummed softly around them, no longer a prison, but a promise, and, together hand in hand, they walked into the glowing light of a new dawn.